You might recognize these as the parts of the trailer are whacked off, but they're getting ready to be clip angles to bolt the rafters to the top plate. So popped a bunch of ugly holes with the plasma torch, and I think I'm gonna cut them to length with the chop saw. I think I can do it almost as fast with the chop saw, and it'll make a smoother cut.
I lean over, I take a peek to make sure I'm on the line, and then I just move my face so I can't get any sparks in my face. And except for the noise, this is a pretty pleasant way to cut these things. It's just you gotta have ear protection because this thing screams.
So I just cut a bunch of clips, probably way more than I need, but I was cutting, so I cut them all. And they're ugly, but they're way stronger than anything I can buy at a hardware store because they're steel and not sheet metal. So this will help a lot in the strength of the rafters. Doing something a little different here. Imagine that. Because my wall's so thin and it's made of softwood, it's kind of limber. And originally I thought I would brace it up with collar ties, which are kind of like ceiling joists, but they're like a third of the way down from the top. But I don't want to put collar ties, I want a clear span. So in order to make this wall a little stiffer, I put a plate up here. It's 1-inch pecan, it's really hard. And I put one over here, and it has stiffened it up quite a bit. And I'm also using a pecan ridge, which is, we'll see how that does. And I'm alone, so I'm gonna try to screw the rafters. I got some 2x4s. I'm gonna try to screw the rafter at the end and see if it just won't cantilever out to the middle on both sides. And do 4, and then I can maybe slide that ridge up in there all by myself. Let's see. Today, my son David came over and helped me with the OSB up high, and we finished the back. And I know the windows look funny, it's because the rough openings haven't been trimmed out yet. The plywood's just overlapping because I don't have an exact size. So I just wanted to make sure I had enough material there. Finished this side, except for one little bitty piece over the door. We ran out of gun nails again. But it's looking good. Finished the front. And again, this plywood encroaches into the window opening because I have to do some final adjusting on that. This window is missing a little piece at the top, and I haven't finished the bathroom up high because I want to do the rafters and the ceiling joist first. We'll frame this little gable up, and it's got OSB on it. Now, my friend Tom, who's a home builder, he saw my video. And he came by and dropped me off a few sheets of OSB that he had left over, and some 2x4s, which is appreciated. He brought the stuff with the silver back. And I finished this weird gable. And I allowed 2 inches for insulation. And if I would have allowed 2 1/4, wait, I have 3/4 foam, so yeah, if I'd allowed 2 1/4, I could have used 3 layers of foam. And I may do that yet and just put a 1/4-inch strip out. This is a weird little gable. And you can see what I mean by the plywood is encroaching the framing, because I probably have to cut it back a little bitty bit. So, man, it's been a good week here. My hands are ate up with splinters from this OSB. I hate this stuff, but what are you gonna do? Oh, and I started putting clip angles on the rafters. And on this one and this one, because it's over a header, I couldn't put a bolt. I had to just put a lag bolt. So these are pretty long lag bolts. So I got these 2 up, and I got 3 over this header that have to be lag bolts. And I'm gonna go tomorrow morning and buy bolts and put one on every rafter, and that's gonna make me feel good.
So the tightwad end, we wanted to trim all the OSB next to all the openings so I wouldn't have any waste, and then just do the header as a separate piece. But structurally, it's kind of important to tie the wall and this header together so all the openings I have the OSB overlapping, and then I trimmed out the excess. So it's a little bit of waste, but it's way stronger, and it's the right thing to do.
Just spent an hour and a half going around and putting in missing nails, missing little pieces of OSB, and trimming. So everything is 100% good to go except for over the bathroom. And I'm gonna wait till I get the ceiling joists because it's kind of hard to reach that. There's no sense in messing with it now. So looking good, man, looking good. All my rafters have a clip. A couple of them have lattice screws instead of through bolts, but most of them have through bolts. So this part of the roof is ready for plywood, as is the bottom part. And I have a whole sheet and a piece of one, so I think I'm gonna throw that up there right now. I will have to go buy some plywood. And I got the little roof on the bathroom addition. And if anybody can tell me why I thought I had to cut these things 6 inches shorter, I would really like to know, because I don't quite understand what my thought process was at that time. Anyway, everything's ready for roofing. Get this thing weather tight. Putting decking on the roof solo presents a few challenges. It's not that bad. I only have 4 full sheets, actually 4 half sheets and a bunch of little pieces. So I screw these little pieces of scrap on the side. This makes it easier to line up the sheets on the roof, holds them in place. It's just a 5-on-12, so nothing really tends to slide off by itself, but it gives you a false sense of security. So climb the ladder with the sheet, throw it on the roof, get it straight. And I tried shooting this one by using the black lines as a guide, and I missed an awful lot of nails. So on the next one, I will take my time and draw pencil marks with the straight edge. And I had to go buy some sheeting yesterday. I bought 5 sheets, and the plywood was actually a little cheaper than the OSB, so I bought plywood. Actually, I prefer plywood, but probably needed 6 sheets, but I'm going to try to squeeze by with 5. So up on the roof, after I put my 4-foot sheet, I ended up with a 5-inch rip, which I wasn't crazy about. So I went ahead and put these little strips here and caulked them and screwed them. Got them under here too. And I'll screw those down and give this little strip a little more strength. Otherwise, it really wouldn't be much. All decked, except for that strip on both sides of the high roof. And I got the bathroom roof decked. And I'm really running shy on material, and I'm really not going to buy a full sheet for this. So I probably won't show any close-ups of what I do to get this closed up, because it ain't going to be pretty. But keep in mind, I'm going to have a sheet metal roof, so sheet metals cover up. Sheet metal roofs cover lots of bad things. If I was a drinking man, I would call this the whiskey plank. It's the last one. And I didn't do too bad. Yeah, I pieced in a bunch of pieces, but I've got a doubler under every one of them. And they're screwed to the doubler and screwed to the ridge. So actually, this top part is probably less bouncy than the whole rest of the roof. So sweet. If it wasn't so windy, I would try to put up some more on my Tyvek to kind of protect this plywood. But I did this sheet in the wind, and it's crazy. I may just let this get wet one more time tonight and put something on it tomorrow.
And at the end, not much waste. I like that.
So yesterday, after a couple of hundred trips up and down the ladder, I finished all the sheeting, all the plywood and OSB, and I got it all wrapped up. So I'm pretty weather tight except for this big door opening, which I'm working on now. Yep, the Tyvek lasted to the square foot, and I got a bunch of this rolled roofing, and I got a messy spot here. I'm gonna work on that this week. I'm gonna pull the bathroom away from the wall a little bit so I can waterproof that. The Tyvek needs to wrap on both of the mini house, and on the bathroom needs to wrap around that corner. And I'm using new stuff. It's this Max Roofing. It's this plastic stuff instead of 15-pound felt. It is like 1,000 times better. Oh my gosh, it's so easy to work with. And it doesn't tear, it holds the nails. I have fallen off roofs twice when I was a young framing guy. And I've had an employee fall off the roof because the tar paper was nailed, but then they stepped on it and it ripped, and off the roof you go. But luckily back then everything was 8 on 12 with a bell, so the eaves were only like 7 feet off the ground. But this stuff will not tear, and it is not slippery, and it weighs like nothing. So I'm sold. 100% better than tar paper, 15-pound or 30-pound. Actually, funny story, one day we're working with framing houses. I did that for a long time. And I look up just in time to see a skill saw flying through the air, like flying through the air. I'm like, what the hell? And I go to look, and one of my guys fell off the roof because the tar paper ripped. And he had a skill saw in his hand. It was running, and he didn't want to hit the ground with the running skill saw. So on the way down, he just threw the saw. I didn't see him fall, but I saw the saw fly. And he landed on his feet and got right back up, so it's no big deal. But that wouldn't have happened with this stuff. This stuff doesn't tear.
I put the Tyvek on this roof because we were expecting a lot of rain, and I had it. But it's not a good roofing material because it's very, very slippery.
All right, let's wrap up the framing video. I'll tell you all the things I did that I probably shouldn't have done, or most people wouldn't have done. I used the 1x4s that I found on the side of the road for baseboard. I ripped all my studs 2 5/8 because I think that's strong enough and I don't need any extra. This room I had double 1x4s for the top plate, and this is where I thought it was a little wobbly. So I put that piece of 6-inch wide oak on both walls, and now it is very sturdy. Typically when you put up rafters, you put it on the outside face of the wall, but if I would have done that, since my rafter is the ceiling, I would have had to add another one to catch my ceiling. So I put the rafters on the inside face of the wall to catch the ceiling, and I put my little gable wall on the outside. So that's a little bit different. I did the same thing on the other end. Now on the bathroom ceiling, it has a flat ceiling like a house, so I put the rafter on the outside of the wall just like normal, and I put a dead wood for the ceiling joist. This window is framed like a normal window. It has a header to replace the studs that are not here because of the window. We have a header to span that opening, and the header is supported by a cripple here and one on the other end. And then if you come down to the bottom of the window, it is also supported by a cripple. And that is because this is a pretty wide opening and it's load bearing. It has the ceiling and the roof resting on this span. I did not put cripples on these end windows because they have absolutely no weight on them whatsoever. The rafters and the ceiling are not resting on this end wall, so I didn't add the weight of cripples. The same with the other end wall. Even though this is a wide opening, there's nothing on top of it because this little short wall ends like 6 inches right above the deck, where we have another big wide window, and everything on the outside is clad in 1/2-inch OSB. So structurally we're good. You won't find this in a book anywhere, but I framed for too many years and I tore apart too many old houses, and I did too many remodels, and I could see what worked and what didn't work, and where there were problems and where there weren't problems, and I am anticipating 0 problems with my framing. So
progress is going to slow down a little bit. The grunt work is done, and it's time to start messing with repurposing some doors and windows, waterproofing the bathroom connection, and basic mechanical stuff. So thanks for watching.